Hey guys, welcome back. First Draft Podcast.
Yeah.
We're building on last week's episode. I hope everyone's doing okay. We're doing a little bit of a different thing tonight. We saw a movie this week, Sinners. It's been the talk of the town. I think it's been out for like a month or so. That's going to be the second part. And obviously we have to go into the AIO. There's been something that's been on our minds. It has been this, I guess, a girl who she had a encounter with a fella dating, and it was a one-time thing. He came back and hit her up, followed her, whatever. And so she was wondering if she was overreacting, if she thought she was going to be unalived, shall we say. And so we generalize the question, and we want to know if you guys, and we're going to talk about our own personal experiences, if you've ever been in a scenario where you feel uncomfortable.
Where you felt uncomfortable.
Maybe irrationally so.
Felt creeped out. A creepy situation.
Mm-hmm.
The AIO itself is not important. We just kind of drew inspiration from it.
Exactly.
And so we're going to just tell our own personal stories and just talk about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a very general question. I'm sure everyone's experienced these kind of things before. Who wants to?
I'll kick it off with my story. So,
what's going on?
When I was in my college days, I had a class with a girl, and we started talking after class. We thought about maybe dating. And so one day I went over to her house and we started talking about mutual people that we knew. And she had a kid, and she ended up telling me who her kid's father was. And it turned out it was like one of my good friends from my neighborhood. And I was like, what? And I was like,
what?
I don't know if this is gonna work. And so we decided to keep seeing each other. She's like, oh no, it'll be okay. He won't get mad. He knows you. I mean, he grew up on my same street. Like, we were friends and talked on a regular basis.
Dude, that's crazy.
And so I was like, okay. And so maybe like a month later, this was in my younger days for sure, I went out to a bar and I saw her kid's dad and his brother, and I was standing there and they were standing there, and I felt like they were mean mugging me or mad dogging me, and I just felt really nervous. And like, they walked up to me and gave me conversation, but in my mind, the conversation seemed sort of nefarious, and I was like,
a little
freaking
hostile, maybe.
I couldn't tell. Like, it was, like, it wasn't like over the top, like, hey, we're gonna beat your butt, but it was like, hey,
instead of saying,
what's up,
man? They probably said, how you doing? You heard, how you doing?
Yeah, and then they were like, come and kick it with us for the night. And I was just like, I don't know about that. And
that's it was your guilty conscience, like twisting or maybe reading into it correctly.
Yeah, and so I did end up hanging with them for a little bit for the night because I knew them and they were my friends, and I hadn't done anything out of place.
But you weren't going to leave the place and go hang out?
No, I'm talking about like stood by them. You know how you stand by people and sit with people in the bar. And so, yeah, like, I think a week later I called her one day. I was like, look, I can't do this. Like, I just feel too weird about it. Like, it's creeping me out. Like, I'll run into your kid's dad. We're close friends. That's
it's
what
just sealed it for you.
Yeah.
You knew that was.
I was just like, it's uncomfortable. But during that moment, I felt creeped out. I was like, I don't know. Am I about to have to fight? Is this about to be one of those disrespect stories? And so that was my little story.
That's
a good one. A good one.
Yeah, Blanca, what about you?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. There was a situation recently where I got an Uber from, I guess, a bar in town, and the Uber driver was acting very erratically.
Wow.
Yeah, he was not. It was not a pleasant ride. It was very jerky.
Oh wow.
I thought maybe he had to be somewhere, and I didn't think anything of it until. Like it was just a super jerky ride. He started saying some weird stuff to me. I can't recall what it was, but
like stuff directed at you, or
weird
stuff in general.
He didn't seem like he was totally in control of his faculties, which
Oh,
kind
wow.
of scared me.
Like inebriated type?
Or maybe he didn't speak language, speak
Oh.
English or anything like that. I don't know. It was just very.
But that
It
wouldn't
was
be in control of his faculties. In control of your faculties, like you're
combined.
peeing on yourself.
But no. I mean, combined with his driving skills, I was like, oh my gosh, is he about to? And obviously, I internalized it, and I thought about the worst possible scenario, which could have been maybe he's going to, I don't know, go and harvest me for meat or something in some chop shop. It's so irrational.
No,
and I made
you
it
never
to my
know.
destination.
Organ
okay.
harvest?
You never know.
Yeah. I didn't know. I was like, oh my gosh. And I think I texted somebody, I can't remember who, about like, hey, just to let you know, I'm
This
in
is
an
my
Uber.
Lyft ride. Or
Yeah, it's my Lyft
Uber.
ride. And it was scary. I was really kind of terrified. Also, I had some drinks at night, and perhaps I was overreacting.
Overthinking.
So how specifically was he acting? He wasn't driving well.
He was not. He didn't make me feel comfortable in the car.
That makes sense.
It was.
That makes sense.
It was zooming around, hard turns, and I was like, "Are we running from somebody right now?"
Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
It's 3 a.m. I don't really have anywhere to be. We can take our time. I'd rather be there safely.
That's why you called an Uber.
Yes.
Not to go and be running from one of his
somebody.
And maybe it was a Lyft. I shouldn't have.
Or Lyft.
Doesn't matter.
Or
the
Lyft.
brand on camera.
Service.
Sure,
yeah.
rideshare service. Yes, it could have been.
Matter.
Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much. But usually they stem around like irrational things where something happens and then retroactively you look at it and you're like, that was kind of an irrational thing to think about, because in that situation, the transaction is tied electronically and there's receipts of that. So it'll be kind of hard for him to even kind of do that too.
Yeah,
right?
but things happen. Women have been victimized and killed by Lyft drivers. There's been criminal cases filed.
People are not like, if people thought about, could I be caught? Most people, like, if people thought about that, they wouldn't kill people.
Right.
But because most of the time you're going to get caught. People, like, something happens in their brain.
I agree.
And nothing else matters. So it wouldn't, if he wanted to, it wouldn't have mattered that there was a transaction.
And there's people that
could have tied him back.
Yeah, there's people that have gone. Yeah, there's rideshare drivers that have been prosecuted for harming their passengers or going back, like dropping their passenger off and figuring out where they went to and going back and attacking them.
That's crazy.
And you got to think too. Like I was doing cursory calculations in my head, in my state of mind. It's like, this guy's bigger than me.
Yeah,
he's older than me.
He's in control of the vehicle.
He's in control of the vehicle. It's like, this is kind of a scary situation to put my trust in him. And then even if we get to the destination safely, now he knows where I live.
So he can come back if he does.
I was like, this is a little weird.
Yeah, so for sure.
Maybe that's a bigger critique on rideshare services in general. Maybe we can explore that on another podcast. I don't know.
It could just be paranoia. I mean, just due to the modern conveniences of the world, those types of issues start to pop up as we move towards a convenient society, and we use tech to get to that end result. Because basically we give up a layer of our privacy by participating in something like that. So
yeah, because even the taxi
you feel vulnerable. You feel vulnerable in a way.
You didn't have to make an
account. I got to give up, like,
you feel vulnerable. Yes,
not technical information about yourself, but in a way you're giving up little bitty pieces of yourself to a complete stranger. You don't know who that is. I don't know. You don't know.
It's amazing that more things.
Uber's
don't
verified
happen.
them, sure, but
I'm sure it's because of the GPS location, and almost every driver I get into now, that almost all of them have their own personal cameras just to protect themselves, because riders can always lash out at the drivers too. Weird stuff can happen.
Oh yeah.
So I've heard some nightmare stories from some Uber drivers. Crazy.
Yeah. I think cameras help a lot of these situations.
I agree.
Yeah, that's why you have.
But it's still giving up a layer of your privacy, though. You know,
it's the price we have to pay, I guess, so that we can have proper legal proceedings. You know, in case there's a grievance that has to be filed.
That makes sense. Nice. I like your story. I wasn't expecting that.
It was a weird situation, but
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a good
Blanca,
one.
what about you?
Okay, since you said that, I have an Uber Lyft story too.
No, now we're going down the
Yeah.
rabbit hole.
So this guy picked me up from work to go home, but I had worked later this night. It was like 8 o'clock. It was in the evening
Yeah.
already, so it must have been. I think it was in the fall, actually.
So the sun set earlier.
Oh yeah, it was dark. It might have been 8:30 actually. It was like fully dark.
Okay.
And we were at the light, and all he had to do was, once the light turned green, instead of the street going straight, it did this thing a little bit, and you go like a little bit towards the right and straight, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then make a right and my house is there. Well, the light turned green, and all of a sudden I was in the back seat, and it's as if I saw his eye, like I saw his thoughts when I, like, his, out of the side of my eye, I saw his eyes like think. I saw his eyes think. It's almost like he did something weird and whoop, made a left, like a hard left. Instead of going straight, like straight, a little curve to the right, and then making a right. He saw where we were.
So he went in the opposite direction
He
of where
went-
you're
Yeah,
going.
it's opposite.
A sharp left. And
weird.
immediately, like my entire body got hot. Like
Yeah.
physically
Oh,
hot. And I
wow.
was like, I'm in danger, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, think. It took me like 3 seconds. And I was like, all right, go. And I feel like I feel like he was going to try to do something to me.
Wow.
And within 3 seconds, I was like, I went into acting mode. And I came up with the plan. Thank you, God.
There you go.
And my plan was, I was like, oh, this is exactly how I remember it so good. I was like, I didn't address what he did. I said, I forgot, I have to do a stop at Walgreens,
Oh, smart.
right? I have to do a
Nice.
stop at
Yeah,
Walgreens.
yeah.
I totally forgot about. And I was like, do you care? Because I knew I could get him there. And he was like, no, I'll take you to Walgreens. I was like, all right. I was
What
like,
time of day was this?
She said it
at
night.
night.
At night. Okay,
Yeah.
at night. Okay.
I said it. I was like, no, make a right here. And so I got him back into the adjacent neighborhood to mine. But I got him back in there, and I was like, I didn't want him to keep going the opposite way. And I was like, I said, I'll just tell you where to go. He didn't tell me, put it in the
Yeah,
app.
he should have told you to
No,
put it
nothing.
in the app.
Nothing.
That's weird.
And I was like, okay, that's weird.
That's
And
super
I was like,
weird.
make a right here. I was like, I'll just let you. It's like 2 minutes from here. I made it sound so close. It was like 3 minutes. But I was like, it's like literally not even 2 minutes. And so he was like, yeah, I'll take you. And I directed him, and we got to the Walgreens. I said, all right. I said, give me like 2 minutes and I'll be right back. Right? He was like, for sure. And I walked into the Walgreens and I was like, thank you, God, I'm safe.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Holy cow.
And so I was like, I had a boyfriend then, Mark. And I called Mark. I was like, Mark, I took a Uber home from work because my car was in the shop or something.
Right.
I said, and I'm at the Walgreens at a
meet me.
stop. I was like, will you please come like right now and pick me up? Because he was still at work and finishing up on something.
Right.
And he was like, I said, I don't want to get back in this Uber.
Right.
And I was like, come pick me up. He's like, I'll be there in 8 minutes.
Right.
And
Good,
I was
good,
like,
good.
okay, thank you. And so then I was in there like I had to calm down, right? And think. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to make him mad, right? I just want to keep the situation calm. And for whatever reason that he has taken my address down or my name at this point while he's sitting in the car, I'm going to go back out there and talk to him and tell him that my prescription isn't ready. He doesn't know the pharmacy's closed. That my prescription isn't ready.
He doesn't even know if you
and
have
it's
a
gonna
prescription there or not.
it's gonna be like 15 or 20 minutes.
You can
But
just go
my
ahead and go.
boyfriend's gonna pick me up.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Just
all
go.
right. So go out there. It was like 5 or 6 minutes, which is already a long time for an Uber to wait. Usually your stops are supposed to be like 3 minutes or less, less than 5 for sure. It was like
I
getting
think they
over
give
that.
up to 10 minutes now, but yeah, it doesn't matter. I get it.
So I went out there and I went over to his window side. I was like, hey, my prescription, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so I'll call my boyfriend. He's just going to pick me up. You can go ahead and go and end the ride here and it'll just charge you, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, he seemed so disappointed. He said,
Really?
He said, no. He's like, I'll wait for you. He's
No.
like, I
How old
will
was he?
wait. I was probably 42 at the time, 43, and I would say he was 35.
So he was
But
younger than you.
I think he was a little younger than me, but he was like this strong seeming guy. Definitely.
A fit person.
I don't know if he was fit, but one of those like
Just
meatheads.
bigger.
A meathead type of person.
Gym bro.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what he seemed like.
So you wouldn't even have been able to struggle with that.
No. And so the third red flag was when I went back out and he wasn't mad that he didn't even like
Say,
he was
hey, I've
totally
got to
okay.
go. I gotta
go. Are you
timeline.
ready? It'd been probably like at least 5 minutes.
That's
And I went
weird.
and then he wanted to wait for me.
No,
and I told him
that's
it'd be
weird.
15 to 20 minutes. I was like, no. I was like, thank you. That is so sweet. Thank you so much. But he's already on his way up here and I just need to wait for my prescription. I'm really sorry. I think by the time I went out there, I think I said, I'm going to end the ride. And I ended it. Like,
Good.
ended it while I was talking to him because I didn't want him to not think I was coming back out and see that I ended the ride like early. Or I didn't want to let him end the ride and he screenshots my address or anything.
Right.
But basically, I did report him as a safety concern to Uber or Lyft. But I do think he was trying to do something.
Okay.
I do think.
So you had a legitimate concern.
Like that was so legit. Like you're supposed to go right, straight and right. And all of a sudden it was basically almost like when he made that left right before, I saw his eyes like think, like when you do this with your eyes, like you think, and it's almost like this thought came in his mind immediately. And the plan was like, make a left and go with her. It was definitely creepy and very scary. And I'm just so glad that I thought so quickly
that was a good plan of action.
I had to do it so fast because he made a left and the next right was already here coming up. And I wanted him to go back into it, not go away. And so I was like, I had him like go back into it was a total act that I was putting on, like 100%.
Yeah, you have to do, of course.
But that was extremely weird.
Did he speak English?
Yeah, he was American. Why?
He was American?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know if he had
even if he didn't speak English hardly, like him making that sharp left, it was too.
Yeah. Why would you go away from my destination point?
It was like
you're supposed to. How well they know the city, because you know the city, then you know the quickest way to get.
Oh no, he was a white guy. He was a white guy.
But sometimes Lyft drivers don't know the city. A lot of Lyft and Uber drivers move here and then they start.
True.
You know, they don't always know the city. So sometimes it is technical.
That's a good point.
And just like, you know, I had a situation where I took an Uber just a couple of days ago, and the address on the GPS was different from the actual physical location. Yeah. Like it was literally like across the street and like up the street, even though
that happened to Calvin, and he dropped him off in a field almost.
Yeah, even the system showed where we were at, and it was a completely different business address than where I was supposed to be.
Yeah, like if you Googled it, it would take you to the right address.
That's what we had to do.
His Uber thing was taking him somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
So interesting.
So I would say at least if you're not strapped, carry like pepper gel, not spray. You don't want to spray it and get that back on you, but there's pepper gel. Like, and I say this for women and men. Yeah. Like you have some type of defense where you can spray in someone's face and get away.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. That was pretty good. Good.
That's interesting topic, and on to.
Maybe let us know in the comments if you have any creepy pastas, as they used to call them, or creepy stories.
Oh yeah, the creepy pastas. Like that's right. Yeah.
That you were feeling a little afraid about, and then we can go from there.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
Oh.
Perfect. We're back.
Yay.
Hey guys.
Let's go.
Welcome back. So we've got the second topic for the night. We watched Sinners this week, and this has been the movie that's been the talk of the webs, the talk of the town.
It's the number one movie currently.
Number one movie. We tried to watch an earlier showing, full seating, so we had to go to a later showing.
Yeah.
Still a hot thing. My apologies. We have to do a reaction to this. This has been a cultural kind of pivotal movie. everyone's been talking about this movie. It has all kinds of elements into it, and
does.
we have to we got to dissect this thing. So, you can look up the IMDb summary if you want to. We're going to do spoilers here, obviously. Blanca, I'm going to kick it over to you. What was your reaction to this movie that we all saw together?
And I think the bigger question, or a simple question, is: did we like the movie or dislike it? And let's give our reasons why, and then
Sure.
we can kind of go into the conversation that way.
Certainly, yeah. Let's do that.
Okay. I'm indifferent about the movie.
Okay. Like from an entertainment standpoint, you're indifferent.
From the message standpoint, well, it was entertaining, right? I I'm gonna answer with a question. What was the message of the movie, or what was the point of the movie? And I'm not talking about what were the elements that we see in the movie, or what were the messages here and there. Like, what was the overall point of the movie? That's why I want to like see if I can throw that back to you before I can talk, because I'm still
Sure.
kind of like, what was the point of the movie though? Like, every movie, like every story should have a point. Like, any conversation should have a point, and I'm I'm struggling to find a point of the movie, or the
Well,
I think
what
in
was the
my
point
interject here and
other
I'll
than
say-
to entertain.
no,
I was going to say it
obviously
should be to entertain.
Yeah, obviously
Yeah.
the initial purpose is to entertain,
Hmm.
but I think kind of like me and you discussed after we watched the movie, I think the vehicle of the movie is vampires and vampirism. But in my opinion, I think Coogler is trying to talk about a metaphorical vampire, almost like a cultural vampire. And I think that's what he's trying to set up, and that's how he's trying to convey his message. Obviously, it's through the
So, what do
context
you
of the
think
history.
is the message?
I haven't come to the full, like, final decision on the message, but I feel like part of the message is, yeah, like they're cultural vampires, kind of like when people talk about cultural appropriation. I don't necessarily subscribe to that in every aspect, in my opinion, but I think that's the message he's trying to convey to a certain extent. But through the lens of the history of the South, through the lens of racism, through the lens of multiple cultures living in a time where it was different from now.
Yeah.
I
I think now that you're talking, I'm just thinking, I think the point of the movie was really just to entertain. And then,
agree with that.
then, like, if there were messages within the movie, okay, but I think it's just, I don't think there was one solid point of the movie. That's what I'm saying. I think the main point was just to entertain, which, like any movie that spends millions of dollars to come to fruition, the point is to entertain. But it also seems like some have more of a point or a message, maybe not necessarily. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm looking too much into it to be like, well, what was the point of the movie? If I'm entertained, then I'm entertained.
I think every movie has an underlying message it's trying to get across. And it doesn't necessarily have to be
Explicit.
something that's highly philosophical, or something that's,
or I mean, even explicit.
Yeah, or something that's explicit, or something that has to do even with a very precise pinpointed topic. It can
Exactly.
be, it could be a blanket of little Easter eggs that it's trying to throw at you.
Yeah.
So what'd you feel about the movie, Chris?
Well, everything in the movie is implicit. So it couches a lot of.
Before you go into that, but did you like it or dislike it? Before you go into that,
I enjoyed it. I actually
you did?
Quite a bit.
Okay,
I enjoyed it quite a bit because there was. I love movies with a build up where it's just kind of innocent initially, and then it builds up to a climax, and then a denouement, and then a resolution, and all that. I really enjoy those kind of movies. just like a song where you build up all the instruments and
Okay.
you crescendo, and then you come back down to a cool down, like a workout. I don't know.
Nice.
But the movie had a lot of tones in it that were, it was clearly trying to portray a message. It was not, I think the director strayed from the artistic form of it, and I think he wanted to probably try to get across a political message, and that's what I got from it. There was a lot of themes in there. He had baptism themes, which I don't know if you remember the vampires. I can't remember who it was. They doused them in the pond of water, and then when they came back out, I guess they were vampire. So it was like cult initiation.
No, what do you mean? The only part where they went into the water
Was at the end.
was at the end when
It was closer to the end, yes.
But
Yeah.
they didn't get baptized in the water, or
No,
they
they
didn't.
didn't.
They didn't become initiates because of the water.
No, they didn't. But the director obviously was trying to pervert Christianity in perverting the baptism by bringing up somebody from the water into initiating them into something
opposite.
evil and demonic.
I mean, I would get that, but
It's very subtle, but I don't think anyone caught
there
it.
there was not a part in the movie where the vampires came out of the water or became vampires because they got dipped
No,
in
but
water.
the one of the main people, I can't remember who it was. They were dipped into the pond in the back of the barn, and then rose up out and was converted.
Was converted at that point. I don't remember.
I don't
can't
remember
say.
that.
Well, I'm not saying I don't.
It's kind of subtle,
I
but
might have not dozed off.
but that was kind of
asleep,
the most benign of the themes. There was a couple.
I remember
other
the
things.
final battle between Sammy and what's the main vampire's name? Did we ever get his name?
Remick.
Yeah,
Remick.
I remember the part towards the end of the movie, like the big confrontation between Sammy and Ramick, where they were fighting in the water. But
yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, Sammy escaped the water, but he didn't become a vampire in the water. He's the one that escaped.
But maybe what he's saying is it's not like it was an outright baptism, but it was like kind of
symbolically.
Yeah, there was symbolic kind of, there were perversions of biblical allegories and biblical kind of scriptural totems, perhaps you could say, that they definitely used. But that was actually the least part of it. There was well, actually I'd like y'all's response on this, on actually everything, and then I'll go into the final conclusion, which is.
Well, what is it? What's the question?
What's your question?
So you guys liked it?
Well, I didn't get my answer.
I'm indifferent to it.
I
didn't feel necessarily like. I felt like a little regretful that I was watching it because it made me feel weird. Maybe because of those elements that were I wasn't completely didn't pick up on, but was there. Like I felt like something was blasphemous about it.
Okay,
a little bit.
My opinion is, I guess from an entertainment perspective, it just didn't really resonate with me. I'm more of a horror film consumer, and the generic vampire tropes just didn't really.
That's a good point.
Hit with me. Like it seemed like he tried to wedge vampirism into a movie about the times in that particular location, which was the Delta, Mississippi, which was cool. And I think his initial idea and his premise is cool, but I think the way that it was carried out just, to me, came off.
Do you think
slightly corny?
He put the vampires in there to kind of
they were like
try
just
to
a vehicle.
make the movie like over time like a cult classic type of movie?
I mean, he could be. I mean, he was definitely
like
drawing upon
into
like
the future, like
Tarantino,
like that type.
I don't think so. I think what he was trying to do and correct me if I'm wrong, and this is maybe
it's your thoughts.
I think what he's trying to do, because he noticed the vampires were white and
but the
everybody
other
else was
vampires became black.
Correct, because it's totalizing. It's a cult. You bite somebody. It's like
you're saying the 3 original
Game of Thrones.
were white.
Like when the White Walkers, they convert everybody who's already died and they become part of the cult.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying the original 3 were white. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So I think what Kugler was trying to portray was that
Kugler is the producer or the director?
He's the director.
He's the director.
Black Panther.
He did Black Panther.
I think what he was trying to say is something along the lines, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, it's all up to subjective interpretation. I mean,
of course, it's literary analysis. Yeah, but I think he was trying to say something along the lines of like, this is an allegory or a superimposition on what a story of how society actually works.
Oh, I didn't think about it from that perspective. I disagree with you.
That whites convert people of color, and I actually think, and that may be a stretch, but I think that's actually what he's trying to portray, because he does have a lot of, if you look into him, he has racial politics, and I think a lot of these guys try to put their ideology into their art.
It makes sense.
Yes.
That's part of how you create your art.
It's part of art, of course.
Your art is an extension of your
Everyone
ideology.
would do that, kind of. Yeah.
But I don't think your average person who sees this stuff actually understands that. They probably just...
So if they don't understand it, then they don't even consume the message at that point.
They don't.
So...
But they
do it
passively.
They do it passively. They do it passively.
Yeah. See, I agree with you to a certain extent. It's like I said, I think he's speaking about... I think you actually explained it a little bit better, but I think it's about cultural vampirism. Like,
yes,
people,
I think it is,
people, and it can be seen through the context of like black and white racial issues, but it's funny that he also included other racial identities within the movie to show that in America, a bunch of races have to work together to make the society work.
Right.
Like when it came to the economical part of how they put together that night, they had to deal with everybody, not only their own people. The only people that weren't that much involved in the economic decision were the indigenous people that were chasing the vampire, but he did include them, and they were chasing him down. I believe they were the Choctaw, because I did some research.
Yeah.
But at the same token, I think he was showing that in America, it's always been, even in those times where things were supposed to be so racially charged, different cultures work together to bring about a result. It doesn't negate some of the racial undertones and racism and whatever that went on in that time, but it's almost like a microcosm of America. Like, not that much has changed in the way that America works. That's how I saw it.
Not that much has changed in the way America works. It's just more more polished now. Like
it's more polished, and it's like
more on paper now, like more subtle, but the undertones all that is still there.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to because I'm not the one that carries on
you're
all
not.
The trauma from
you're
the
not.
slavery
I know,
and all that. I'm not talking about
right.
I still think I'm under.
You're just seeing certain threads that are still from that time, still here.
Exactly, and I think that was part of his message, because things were more racially structured on the surface back then. I don't know if you all realized it. Did you realize why? I can't remember the name of the Asian characters.
I can't either, but what about them?
Yeah. I don't know. Did you realize how when what twin went into the store? Was it Smoke or Stack? Like when he went to town, remember he had to go to the truck to get all the supplies for the party?
Red. It was Red, right?
Stack.
You remember when he went to the husband's store? I don't know if you picked up on this. and then he had to go.
The
He
husband
said
went
he
and
said
called, had the
he had
daughter
the daughter.
call the wife, yeah, and she came and
Well, she
did all
didn't
the
call. She was
negotiation.
working at another store, but you know why they
She
were
went
working
and
at
got
two?
her.
Yeah, you know why they're working at two different stores? Because there was one store for the blacks and one store for the whites.
Oh,
I didn't. I didn't pick up. I didn't pick up on that until the
Holy
second
cow.
time I watched it. Yeah, if you notice, all the people in the store were,
Oh shoot! I didn't catch up on that.
like
Yeah.
it was very subtle, and I didn't get it. I was like, well, why would she be? Why wouldn't they be working at this? Why wouldn't a husband and wife team be working? Why was there two different grocery stores? And then I picked up on it.
You
It was
know,
very subtle, though.
there's a couple of things I want to say, but one thing that just came to mind that I do want to say is for someone like me that tries not to just bring racism and inject it into conversations or even into my thoughts. And you're like that too.
Yeah, I am. Even as being a Black American, I don't always want to pull the race card, or
you make your best effort not to, actually,
just because it's a discriminatory.
And
I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist, and I'm not anti acknowledging it, but that's not.
But what I'm trying to say is that I'm the same way, right? But watching like how the racism that existed in the movie, like when they bought the house from that white guy, and they gave him the money and he got the keys, like the audacity of them to come back as a group the very next day, because that same night they had that party, and the audacity of that white man and his friends to come back and take back or attempt to take back the property by forcing killing them. It just like those certain parts of like the movie like that just like made me so mad. I was like, ooh, if I lived in that time, like that was like in your face racism. Like it was.
And in a way, it's a form of leeching off of people. So that's why I think his message is like a cultural vampirism. Like he basically sold them a piece of property, but really was just using that as a ploy to suck the life out of them and to suck the money out of them and to suck.
Because they were going to go and take it back. And if they'd gotten away, if they did that, because if they had gotten to do that, they wouldn't have had to probably pay for anything in society. They would have, like, nobody would have held those men accountable for killing the brothers and taking back the house. Not at all.
This is another thing I thought of too. It kind of reminded me of the movie The Departed.
I haven't seen that.
It's an old movie. It's a great movie. Martin Scorsese. Fantastic movie. But in The Departed, the movie's called The Departed, which means people that have died. And in that movie, almost everybody dies. Like all the main players in that movie. I mean, spoilers, whatever. But
it's like
Godfather. It's not just The Godfather. Like the title of the movie is called The Departed, and almost all the main characters in that movie died. So this movie is called Sinners, and if you notice, every main character everyone died. Well, not just that. They were all committing sins, like the Stack twins robbed Al.
Well, yeah,
you mentioned that. Yes.
The lady that was there to see Sammy was cheating on her husband.
That was the point.
The guy that sold them the building was basically lying to them to come back to murder them. Well, even to a certain degree, some people would say partying and drinking liquor and
getting drunk.
You know, like they were all committing some little tiny sin.
I don't know if it was a little tiny sin when you're married and you're sleeping around.
I wasn't trying to minimize. I'm just saying each one had their hand
obviously
in a sin. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
There were everyone was a sinner.
Yeah. So
like we all are.
Yeah. So
but everyone, it was just showing all of their sins because the camera was basically capturing everyone's sins and showing it to us.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about the term sinners, and just the little concepts of Christianity thrown in there.
Okay.
And to me, as a Christian, it exposed to me how people misconstrue what Christianity really is. For example, using the term sinners, right? But then talking about like the Annie lady who was a hoodoo. I wrote it down. I looked it up. She was a hoodoo priestess or whatever.
Practitioner.
It says hoodoo priestess. Okay. Is that what she was?
Nice.
But like there was nothing Christian about the movie. Yet the term, like usually when people think of the word sinners, that's like mostly used as a Christian term, right? I'm surprised they
Correct.
didn't use the word transgressions or something like, or something
That's a
else
good point.
for instead, but they used the word sinners, and then
Because
at
they
the
wanted
begin,
to denigrate Christianity.
I mean, I
I
disagree
don't know
with
if
that.
they wanted to
I
denigrate.
disagree with that.
I don't
That's a
think
good
they
point what she
wanted to
made.
denigrate, but
Yeah.
that's not my point. I'm not saying they wanted to denigrate
I agree
Christianity.
with you on that.
I think that they are thinking that they're representing Christianity correctly in the movie when they're like, I think they think who's the director?
Coogler, Ryan Coogler.
I think
Ryan Coogler.
I think he thinks he knows what Christianity is. That's
I
why
get
he
what you're
felt free
saying.
to use that term. And then instead of just using, like, why did he specifically choose that term?
I got an answer for you. I don't
Yeah,
want to
what
interrupt
is
you.
it? What is
So
it?
for me, I think it is, and this still is in agreement with you, but just maybe just a little
Yeah, help me.
detached.
Yeah.
Because in America, Christianity is the most prevalent religion.
Mhm.
So almost everybody in America has been exposed to Christianity, whether they're an adherent or
Yeah.
a follower or not.
That's a
So
good way to
that
put
was
it,
just
yeah.
the easiest term to convey the message. I'm not,
But there has to be more to that. I almost would.
because everybody knows what sin is. In
Everybody
America,
knows, but for him to use that
whether
term,
they're Christian or
I
not.
almost
I
want
would disagree
Calvin.
with you
I
there,
almost
but yeah.
want Calvin to
Yeah.
look up if he was raised in a Christian home,
We can look that
because
up.
I feel like there's something that.
It's just
What's his name? The director, Coogler.
Ryan
Coogler.
Coogler. I think it's
Ryan Coogler. Was Ryan
Coogler
Coogler raised?
Coogler.
Was he raised as a Christian? Because if he was, I would say that that he thinks he knows what Christianity is. That's why he feels free to use certain terms like that, and even
a lot
to
of those
show,
directors do.
and even to show the.
Well, to be fair, in all Abrahamic faiths, the term sin is used, from Judaism to Islam
Well,
to
maybe,
Christianity.
yeah, maybe, but I think that Christianity is the one that is the one who most
Right.
talks about sin. What is
Right.
it? He was raised in a Christian home. I'm not surprised,
Yeah.
because I think that he completely thinks what Christianity is. But to me, the way he used the Christian themes in this movie exposes that he has no idea, but he thinks he does. Is the
Okay.
thing. He
Yeah.
doesn't have a real understanding of Christianity, but because he was raised in a Christian home, he thinks, and maybe he's seen things that weren't right from people who call themselves Christian. I think he thinks he knows what Christianity is, and I think that he's hostile to it, and I think that he used these terms thinking, I know who Christians are, I know what they are, I know what Christianity is. I'm going to use these terms because it fits my movie, and at the same time, it's going to be like the axe I want to grind. I'm going to be able to grind it, you know. And so I think he used that term. I think he used it as like in that type of way, and I would love to hear what he would say in an interview, for example, his thoughts about it. But I obviously don't think he's like a Christian or anything right now, but I see that in there, like hostility towards Christianity. That's why these Christian themes are in it, because to me there's like nothing Christian about the movie. But
which I don't think that's the purpose. But
I don't either. But sinners is a big word to use to like to use the term appropriate for his movie. You know, it would be confusing to someone else. Like, why are you using the term sinners? Is this going to be a Christian movie?
I don't think it's confusing. I disagree with you. I don't think, how's that confusing? Like, anybody that knows the English language knows what the term sinner means.
No,
not necessarily
about saying what I just said. Is this a Christian movie or what? Like, it causes people to be like, is this going to be a Christian movie talking about sinners? At the end of the day, he did show everyone there was a sinner.
Right. I think that's the main point.
But a lot of people that are not Christians, for example, don't like using that term. It's a term that brings up hostility in people because people feel judged.
It's a theological term.
It's more of a theological term. It's not like a philosophical.
I get that.
Like
it's a theological
Christian philosophical, but it's more of a theological term.
Okay,
but
it's also like people use it in a secular meaning though. Like people use the term.
There's no way to use
like
that term in a secular meaning.
Yeah, it is.
It's a normative term. It has.
I'm not saying in the actual literal definition of the term.
Anchor themselves to theology.
But people joke around and say like, I'm gonna go sin tonight because I'm gonna go to the
yeah.
People use it in a jokingly manner.
Yes.
Going to Sin City.
But that's what I'm saying. That
Yeah,
you're proving my point. They use it in a jokingly manner.
Right.
So
but that still means they know the definition of what that is.
Obviously, I'm not saying people don't know what it is.
That's all
I'm saying that the use of the word to title your movie that, but it has like really, it's not Christian at all.
Right.
It's
I
a
get
mocking of the term, if that's in a way, if that makes sense. Because like you just said, people use it to joke around. Everyone knows what sin is, the word sin is. I'm not saying that they don't.
Yeah.
I'm saying the use of that as the title for your movie when it's not a Christian movie is like he's getting to grind his axe against Christianity.
But so only Christians can use the term sin?
I think that it's anyone can use the term, but I'm saying
that's my point.
But I'm making the point.
We both making
my
our
point. No, but
that's why we're having this conversation.
I'm making the point about the word.
Okay.
No one's brought up the title and the word.
Okay.
My point is that using that word specifically for a non-Christian movie is like somebody also subtly grinding their axe against Christianity because it's complete. It's like clickbait.
Right. It's
what I'm saying.
Sensationalism in a way.
It's basically like I don't care if that's a Christian. I'm gonna like use it and however I want to use it. You know, I'm gonna use it for this movie and it's not Christian, but I'm gonna appropriate this term and at the same time dig into Christianity because that to me maybe what I'm saying is completely wrong. I'm just seeing it as that, and I'm not surprised that he was raised in a Christian home. I'm not saying that he was a Christian. I'm just saying that I think he has a grind to axe with Christianity because of the term he used. And I don't know, what about the way that the movie started and ended? I saw the theme of the prodigal son
returning home,
right? And I don't think that part was disrespectful in the way he portrayed the church and the
but I mean technically
father.
You say he still had an axe to grind because the prodigal son left again. Like he still ended up leaving the church.
Actually he did leave the church.
It wasn't the
and that's amazing to me because at the end of the day, like, didn't every single one of them become vampires or die? Every single one except Sammy.
Most.
Exactly. Every single one except Sammy.
And the guys that came back to kill the twins, they didn't become vampires.
No,
right?
I said, didn't everybody become vampires or die? That was my question.
My bad.
Every single person except Sammy.
Yeah, that's why I said it was similar to The Departed almost. Well, beside Stack that survived and Mary that survived.
Yeah, but they're vampires. Yeah. So the answer to my question is yes. Every single person became a vampire, died, except Sammy, who grew up Christian, who had a Christian father, who was portrayed as the prodigal son, but then at the end, even though he was essentially saved from damnation through the vampirism, saved from death, maybe damnation there, and was given a second opportunity, he still couldn't drop that guitar, that handle, and still went back out into the world.
He went out into the world.
He went back out into the world and went out there and I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. Like, why did he let him be? Well, obviously, because he was one of the characters that was the focus of the movie. Yeah. But he used that prodigal son. But in scripture, the prodigal son comes back and stays. In the movie, the prodigal son comes back and leaves again.
Leaves. Even after dealing with a close encounter of evil, basically, like being face to face with that
and being spared
level of evil and gotten saved, he still was like, nah.
So that's why I'm like, to me right now, I almost want to like look up the director and read more about him because I think there's just a lot of hostility there towards Christianity, and it might be rightly so because he might have seen things and been taught things when he was young, but. I think the Christian themes in the movie are confusing, but I think he used it. I think he used it to appropriate. I think he used the vampires to, like, in the future, make all of this like hopefully a cult classic type of movie.
Yeah, and that's cool. And
that's why he used those themes.
And like, I mean, to get back to why I liked it or disliked it. The part that I did like was his usage of the historical context of music and how, in my opinion, and a lot of musical historians' opinion, American music was created in the Delta Mississippi Valley. There's a genre of music called
And
the
I
Delta
didn't know
Mississippi
that.
Blues.
I didn't know that a lot of it
And
was.
like pretty much every major form of American music, from country to blues to folk to heavy metal to even rap, disco, punk, like all of that kind of originates from that music. The only one that's kind of contested,
takes inspiration from.
but I mean, like it's even more than inspiration. It's like almost like vampirism. Like it literally draws off of that original baseline to create this new form of music. So it had to take from the original source to create something new, which is what a vampire does. They take your blood and then they turn you into a vampire, which creates a new form.
Conversion.
And it's metaphorical, not exactly.
Obviously.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. Like that was the most entertaining component.
So
to
for all
me.
the good music, we should be thankful, and for all the bad music, we should be like not thankful.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of like, and when I'm saying bad music, that's obviously my opinion. Like,
right. But I get we know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You know.
We know what you're saying. I just thought that was cool. I thought it was one of the best aspects of the movie, and that's what entertained me. The vampire stuff, the other things, the other themes in the movie.
I think he threw that in there to give it an edge. I mean, he could have just used evil, for example, maybe,
right,
to consume the sinners, which is also like a Christian theme. But when he used the vampires, I think he wanted to make it cultish. And also, I think that
some people say
it almost made it,
I was going to say, not to interrupt you, that I'll let you continue. But some people say he tried to draw inspiration from, what is it, Dusk Till Dawn, in that Tarantino movie? And weren't all the vampires in that movie, like they went into a club and had a night, and it was about a night that they were all getting together to go to this place, and
yeah, that's right.
I think they were portrayed as demonic, not just vampires, and they were to like, so I feel like he kind of was making like a new version of that, so he himself is a vampire at that point. Like he's taken from Quentin Tarantino and creating this new American version.
I think that's a really strong word to use for anything that takes from something, because every single thing like is a copy of something, or you steal ideas and all of that. It doesn't mean like you're a vampire or something that takes away from, and it's like if it's not taking away from that thing, that original source, then it's not a vampire. It's not sucking anything out of it. Even it's copying, or it's copying and changing it. It's copying and changing it. So I wouldn't say vampire as far as that. I mean, I think that if the Delta blues and the music that originated during that time inspired a lot of the music that we have now, I think that's a really cool thing, and it's an accolade to like it's a really
paying
cool
homage
thing.
to our past. That's what I feel.
I think that I remembered another thing that I thought was interesting is when they had the door open and were talking to the vampires. Remember when they kept the door open?
They had to invite them in. It was weird. They couldn't just come in.
No, they could have.
No, remember they kept saying, "Let me in."
Yeah, but
let me in.
Yes.
Eventually, let me in.
Vampire lore.
Yeah. Interesting.
Did you notice that?
But eventually, they just went in.
No, the lady got mad. What's
eventually
his name? Chow?
They broke in.
No. Chow's wife got mad. They were trying to hold her mouth.
Yes.
And she said, "Come in, mother."
Oh, yes. She said, "Come in."
She said, "Come in."
And then they all.
So that gave them. That's why.
Because
think
about
that. Spell.
Well, think about it. They're outnumbered. Like, why would one or two or three of them prevent them from going into the place? Like physically, I mean, dude can fly. He could just fly through the door, or the window, or
I didn't
whatever.
catch that. Thank you.
No, they had to give them permission.
Yes.
To come into that place, which I still don't fully get. I don't understand the symbolism behind that. Maybe
part
it's
of,
an old vampire thing that
it
that
is.
maybe I'm
Yeah.
missing.
Yeah.
If you don't permit entrance for the vampires, I guess you can't. They can't come in.
And
Yeah,
I
remember how
guess-
many attempts they made? Like all the different, like
Mhm.
cornbread or whatever. He was like, "Come on, y'all!"
Mhm.
And remember they were like, "Dude, you could push past 3 of us. Why don't?"
Yeah, no, I did. I just didn't understand
I
that
didn't
part.
either.
But now that you're saying, I'm totally seeing it. And then another form of letting them in is to be out there and not be aware of what's around you.
Right.
So you're walking out there like
Exactly.
totally exposed, and it's like, hey, it's not just exposed to the elements of this, like the elements of nature
Exactly.
or this natural world. There are elements of other things that are around you that if you're not paying attention to, you are leaving yourself exposed. And it's the most common form of letting something come in.
Right.
Because most people don't just say come in to, let's say, evil. Let's say the vampires represent
You don't invite evil into your household.
Most people don't.
No.
You just are not paying attention. You're leaving yourself exposed, and then you're like that girl. She's seeing that the 3 people playing the guitar, and she's like listening to them at first. Like you get drawn into them. And what I was gonna say was that you can get drawn into evil because it doesn't look like evil.
Even the vampire, the original vampire Ramek, when he showed up to the 2 victims, when the indigenous people were chasing him down, remember he was like, "Just let me in, just let like." Because remember they were like,
I'm
"Dude, if
so
you don't,"
glad.
remember they were like,
Yeah.
"Dude, if you don't get off my porch, I'm about to blow your
Yeah,
noggin
exactly.
off. Like you're about to get out of here." But he was like,
Dude,
"Come
wait a
on,
minute.
let me in."
I think that's the point of the movie.
Really?
I think that's the overall
I don't know
main point of the movie. Yeah, I do.
Letting
Because
evil in, inviting evil.
Inviting evil in either by being exposed and unaware of the things around you, not the people around you,
But you have to actively
things
let
that
it
you're
in.
doing. No,
Yeah.
you don't have to actively let it in.
But I'm saying
it was
the way it was
that you
portrayed
don't.
in the movie.
No, it wasn't, because all those people, they let them in because they weren't aware of their
What they were letting
surroundings.
in.
So that's why
a deep
they
message.
were bitten and caught. And that's what I'm saying. That's the main way of letting them in, was not being aware. Because you're in your own mind, you're being selfish, thinking about yourself, or you're in your own sin and doing your own thing, or because you're drinking and you're not paying attention to what's going on. Your mind is not sober.
Right.
There's many ways of, like, the most common forms of letting evil in is by not protecting yourself, not being aware of what's around you. So I do think that is probably the main point in the movie. But the reason that everyone died except Sammy was because you do have to be careful of who you keep around you. Like the Asian woman, I guess she said, "Come in," and whoever was around and was next to her was gonna have to deal with whatever came in also. And the last thing I wanted to say, because I didn't even pick up on that till just now. That's deep. I do think that's the whole point of the movie. The main, not the whole point.
I think it's one point.
I would say that's the main.
I can't agree with that,
And
but I understand how you feel that way.
But this is the other thing.
Maybe we need to do another segment.
Maybe we do, because that got really deep right there.
We can talk about it more.
Perhaps,
let's wrap this segment up.
I do want to say one thing before we wrap it up. The part where they were talking to them, right? And where they were giving reasons to let them in, right? They were saying, we can be a community, we can be together. It was extremely, to me, persuasive.
Well, he used the term fellowship. Remember,
he used the term, that's another Christian term. But I was sitting there and I was putting myself in the actors, or in the characters' shoes that were inside the house. And I was putting myself in their position, and as if I was listening to the vampires. They have nothing left. They know they're gonna be vampires. Might as well just go into it. It just seemed like they were very persuasive. The vampires were. So don't listen. I don't know what the point of that is, but like, don't listen to evil too long, because even when you know it's evil, it still can get you because it starts being alluring and persuasive. And evils
Good point.
could be anything.
Yeah.
Evils could be like a woman that's
Mm.
married that you shouldn't be with, right?
Could be.
It could be drugs. It could be alcohol. If you have the tendency to like get messed up when you
And
drink
make bad decisions.
and make bad decisions.
Mm.
It could be anything that you know is not right. If you sit and like listen to it too long or look at it too long or indulge in it too much, whatever, it has a way of like persuading you to just go in, go to it, or let it in. And I just thought that part was like super real right there. Like if you're listening, and they stood and listened to it too long, and then they closed the door and fought against it. But a lot of times letting things in is also a choice, you know.
I was gonna say it's a proactive choice.
A proactive choice.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that you talked about the letting
I
in
picked
thing,
on a
because
couple of
I
things
do
the second
think that
time I watched it, because
that's the
I
whole
watched
point.
it twice, and I just picked up on some things. There's actually some other things that, since we've had this discussion, that's popped into my brain. But we definitely should wrap this up and maybe come back for a different segment. Maybe do a part 2. If maybe not, but
I mean, we could.
we'll
We'll
think about it.
Cool.